This is not a ride sharing video. I repeat, this is not a ride sharing video. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim on this Memorial Day weekend. Happy Memorial Day to you and yours. Somewhat of a slow news day, so we're going to ask a question you often hear. Certainly when you're watching right-wing media, sometimes when you're watching left-wing media, but it is appropriate for the holiday season. And that question is simple. What is a patriot? What does being patriotic mean to you? What is expected? What are the duties of a patriotic citizen? Now, the question sounds fairly lame on its face. I get it. Nevertheless, you often hear, particularly on the right side of the aisle, people being referred to as patriots. You don't hear it as much on the left, but nevertheless, that's what we're here to talk about today is what the hell is a patriot? Has the word been hijacked to now mean something else? What does a patriot mean to you? Now, obviously, this is Memorial Day weekend where we're going to be memorializing folks who have lost their lives, whether in the line of duty or just simply lived out a nice life after serving and potentially defending this country. So what is a patriot? What are the duties of a patriot? Because you often hear, certainly when aimed at liberals, that person is anti-American or that person does not like America. Clearly not liking your country would be arguably not patriotic. Now, real quick before we go into the spiel of the program, in regards to what is a patriot, it's defined as a person who loves his or her country and is ready to boldly support and defend it against enemies or detractors. That is the definition of a patriot. Nevertheless, you hear differences depending on what political party you affiliate with. So we're going to be talking about that. Always, as every program states, the program is and forever will remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. We do not block, ban, or censor guests for their commentary. The fact that you might disagree with the host doesn't mean a damn thing. So looking in the comments, for sure, patriotic citizens is not a MAGA. Wow. So in God we trust, you're suggesting that if you are MAGA, if you support Trump, you can't be patriotic? I want to make sure I'm getting that right. If so, elaborate on that. Are you a liberal who supports Trump? I'm a liberal that supports America. Good question. I guess the Central Park Five was just part of his little quirky personality, huh? Wow. I don't know where that pertains, how that pertains to the actual subject matter, but we do know about Trump and what he said about the Central Park Five. All right, going straight to the box. We'll make it happen with the one and only Army vet on Memorial Day. Question: what does being a patriot mean to you? What are the duties of a patriot? Good afternoon, Army vet.
Well, as my name says it, I am an Army vet. I volunteered. I signed my name on the dotted line to defend this country, or actually defend the Constitution. That's the biggest part, defending the Constitution. So if you're not willing to defend the Constitution, your patriotism can go straight to hell.
Wow.
Anytime someone says that they want to get rid of the Constitution and start over, you can't be a patriot. Sorry.
Have you heard of
You
folks?
can't be an insurrectionist.
Have you heard of folks suggesting that we completely get rid of the Constitution?
Trump said it.
Wow.
Trump literally said, get rid of the Constitution and start over. Go look it up. Trump said it out of his own mouth.
Damn.
So you can't be a MAGA and follow Trump.
No, I don't
delay.
disagree. Okay, I don't disagree if any president suggests getting rid of the Constitution, that certainly is something to question. So you do believe you cannot be MAGA and patriotic simultaneously?
You can't. It's counterintuitive to itself, right? You can't say that you're a patriot, you're for the country, you're for the Constitution. Let me put it this way. Symbolism is not patriotism. You can't just wave an American flag, have it on your cars, have it on your t-shirts, have it on your shorts, and you go out and you barbecue and you say you're a patriot, but your actions are other than what a patriot is, right?
Yeah.
You can't sit up here and be President Bone Spur and then down talk John McCain, who was actually a prisoner of war, and
Yeah.
saying you don't like people that get caught, right? That's not
Yeah.
patriotism. So they can take their fake patriotism and stick it up their ass, as far as I'm concerned, because the right has co-opted patriotism from way back in Ronald Reagan's days, when Ronald Reagan was the first one to coin MAGA. He was the first one to say, make America great again. So Trump is just following it in Ronald Reagan's racist ways, but they're not patriots, you know. And I'm not saying you can't be a Republican and be a patriot. I'm not saying that, because I know Republicans who put their life on the line and served in the military, and they absolutely are patriots. But you can't be MAGA and be a patriot.
Give me what about MAGA makes you believe, other than Trump saying we need to, get rid of the Constitution, which is obviously a concerning issue, but what else about MAGA would lead you to suggest that MAGA is not patriotic?
I mean, just the name itself, Make America Great Again, has never been great.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest about it. America has never been great. The founding of America, from what they did to the indigenous people, to taking land from Mexico, to the way it's treated black people in this country, interning Japanese in concentration camps. When the hell was this country ever great? Now, I love America. Don't get me wrong. I love America. But to say make it great again indicates that it was great at one time. And it couldn't be great if everybody did not have equality and equity.
Yeah.
So
So
just being
when
MAGA
you
in
point,
itself is unpatriotic.
yeah, so when you point out that America was never great, like in the comments, everybody, which is someone's name, is suggesting that by you saying America is never great, his comment is, so you hate America, got it. How do you respond when if you state what you just said, and a lot of folks do state that America was never great, a lot of folks would take that to mean where you do not acknowledge the greatness of the country, or you might hate your own country. How do you respond to something like that?
Well, I tell them to listen to Trump, right? What Trump say, everything Trump says about America is jacked up. America's terrible. America's this and America's down. And he has nothing good to say about America. So I'm gonna say to MAGA and Trump, if you don't like America, get the hell out. Ain't that what you tell
Mm,
everybody else? You don't like it, go somewhere else. Leave the country, right? They need to eat their own words at this point, you know? So people saying that, like I said, whoever said that, they're probably a troll account, a fake account, somebody's 12-year-old kid sitting in the basement, or some fat guy eating corn chips that never served a day in his life. So I don't want to hear nothing they talking about. If you can't show me a DD-214 that you served or that you're active duty right now, don't question my patriotism. You have no ground to stand on.
fair enough. And we are in, I certainly feel indebted, a great amount of gratitude for your service. But let me ask you this. In the comments, 2002, your mom said, based on what you're saying, her question to you is, then why did you actually fight for America? If you see America the way you're stating, why would you even go and fight for it?
Listen, history is truth, right? We can't whitewash history because it's uncomfortable.
True.
America has done some atrocious things in this world, but I still love my country. Two things can be true at the same time, right? You can be a man, and excuse my language, you can still be a man and be pussy at the same time, right? So that's how I feel about a lot of these people in the comments. They act like they're men, but they're pussy in front of you. They'll talk
Mm,
trash to you online, but in front of you, they won't open their mouth. So two things can be true at the same time. And
fair
so
enough.
American history, everything I said about American history has been factual. It
And
is.
that is indeed the definition of a keyboard warrior, what you were talking about. But Army vet, I gotta move it on, man. Appreciate your
Yes,
conversation
sir.
always. Like I said, definitely a debt of gratitude for your service. You're always welcome back on the program anytime, man. Good talk.
Yes, sir. My pleasure. Have a good one.
You too. All right, looking in. That was the one and only Army vet, certainly a friend of the program. I'm in the streets every day, says Child of God. White liberals, drivers, and traitors. Wisdom 7-8. I don't elaborate on what the hell you're discussing. What we're talking about today, folks, is indeed in honor of Memorial Day and the fact that it's a fairly slow news day. What is a patriot? What does being patriotic mean to you? What are the duties of a patriotic citizen in your humble opinion? Before we go back to the box, as stated online, just doing my little bit of homework online, a person who loves his or her country and is ready to boldly support and defend it against enemies and detractors. That's what the definition online is, according to that. What's expected of a patriotic citizen? Now this is problematic. When you look online and you hear them give a definition or a spiel on what is expected of a patriotic citizen, the answer is concerning. Listen to this. Keeping domestic peace and security, tolerating differences, treating others fairly, fighting against terrorism, keeping state secrets, wow, working to promote development. Based on that list, that laundry list of duties, who the hell in this country is a patriot? It's a hell of a lot of politicians that have violated some of that shit. All right, looking in the comments. Good morning, Uncle Ruckus. Unfortunately, in my area, it is afternoon. Make America liberal again. Wow. It's certainly not acting like Antifa and Black Lives Matter during the riot, says Pete. We'll go back to the box. We'll keep it going with Joe 2. What is your specific definition? How do you feel when asked, what is a patriot to you?
What is a patriot to me? I, I'll tell you what, I was in the military. I spent 8 years there.
What branch?
Patriotism is a love of country, like Army vet said. Wanted to thank him for his comments. He was right up front, and very, very accurate with that. Thank you for having me on, Handsome. I appreciate you
Not a
inviting
problem.
me up.
What branch of the service were you in?
Actually, I was in two. I was in the U.S. Air Force, National Guard, and I was also in the United States Navy.
Okay.
Uh, I was on submarines in the beginning and ended up in aviation later on. Uh,
That's a big span. You went
yeah,
from underwater to it. Yeah, that's
yeah,
big.
yeah,
That's big.
yeah. I was a bit of a pain when I was younger. So anyway, patriotism to me, I see these gentlemen that hijack patriotism. They run around with guns, uh, saying they love their country when they're actually doing things to undermine the Constitution and undermine our liberties. And a real patriot is somebody that is defending that, defending our liberties,
Give me
defending our
some example. Now you mentioned seeing guys with guns running around and literally undermining things. Give me some
right.
examples. Elaborate on what you're
Look,
talking about.
these are guys like the Oath Keepers, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, running around. They run around with guns and act like they're uh, a bunch of tough guys. They can challenge our own constitution and government, and they call themselves patriots. That's not a patriot. They don't have love of country. They don't
Now
have respect
let me
for our
ask it to
freedom.
you this way. Let me
Yes,
ask it to you this way. I have to play devil's advocate, which is what I often
sure,
do on the program.
sure.
When the Oath Keepers go, you're talking about riding around with guns. Oath Keeper and the Proud Boys often will go down to the southern border and defend that border against folks coming over illegally from, basically they're taking arms to do what they believe border security is failing to do and the government is failing at. Do you see that as being patriotic when they go down to
No,
defend the
no,
border?
absolutely not. It's self-serving. Uh, they go down there to be self-serving, and actually, what they're doing is absolutely illegal. I happen to live 100 miles from the southernmost southern border, and there are plenty of border patrol there to do their job. There are quite a few people coming across, but even now, it's not as many as there used to be. It used to be a lot more prevalent to have um, uh, Mexican nationals come over, and we would they would stay here, and they would be around to do whatever. But nowadays they don't. Most of those people that come across, they don't stay here. They send them back to Mexico or back to their country of origin. They don't stay here
So
because,
how do you respond to the fact that so many folks on the right claim the border is wide open? You're not painting a picture of an open border. You're making it sound as though we don't have a major issue. But folks on the right would suggest that Biden has failed at the border and it's literally wide open. How do you respond to that?
well, the we have had this issue going on for as long as I can remember. I've lived down here for 38 years of my life in South Texas, and it's an ongoing issue. It's always been like this. Uh, it's been no wor It's actually been less of an issue now than it was before, and they've only currently made it an issue. And I think when Trump was in office, that these people got scared that they'd never get in, so they all, rushed to the border real quick, and it became a real problem for a
So
little
what
while.
you're so what you're suggesting is that President Trump actually exacerbated the border problem. He's made it worse. What you're basically saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Because his attitude and he broadcasted it to the world. We're going to close the border. We're going to make a wall. They're not going to be able to get in. All these people rushed the border because they were going to try to make it over before the wall got built. They're, and it's actually unfeasible to build a wall all the way across there. It's not something that is, if you've ever been down through there, most of that's mountainous terrain. Some of it's river bottom that is, that
Yeah,
water has
a
to
lot
flow
of
through. There's
people. Yeah,
no
a lot of people
possible
lose.
way.
Yeah, a lot of people lose their lives. I've been in I used to be an over the road driver, so I've been to all of the border towns where we
That's
have
what I,
port of
yeah.
entry. I've been to McAllen, Laredo, El Paso. I've been to all of those border towns. So in fact, I have
Okay.
actually sat there on the Rio Grande when Trump was in office, and I was able to commandeer 5 border patrol guys to come and talk to me, and I asked them questions when Trump was in office at his most controversial time. They sat and talked to me for 2 hours, but they wouldn't do the shit on camera. I was really, because
No, no, no,
believe it
no.
or not, all 5 of the border agents had Hispanic last names. I don't know if they were Hispanic, but they all had, Gonzalez and
A
those
majority
type
of
of
them
last
are.
names. Huh?
And a majority of them are, and most of them are Spanish speaking. I actually have an uncle that is my mother's half brother, and he's a border patrol officer, and he works for the border patrol and has in Alamogordo, New Mexico, and also in close to Big Spring and that area in Texas. So I have
How does he
I
feel
have
about the wall? How did when you because the Hispanic officers that I met, I asked them flat out, "Do you think a wall would help?" And even though they were all Hispanic, they all said yes. They all were quite favorable of what Trump was proposing at that time. I think this was back in 2017, 2018 that I met them, but they were actually quite favorable. You said you got a relative or a friend. Did you ask them questions about
oh he
how did they feel about the wall?
Well, he said that yeah, they would favor a wall, but actually that you could see if you haven't watched some of the stuff is they thwart the wall anyway. It doesn't matter. They either
Yeah,
tunnel under it or they go over the top of it. And
yeah,
these guys just didn't start doing this yesterday. These are guys that have been doing this all their life. They're coyotes. That's what they do for a living. They bring these people over.
right,
So
right.
a wall's not going to stop them, and we're just going to waste money on a wall that they're going to thwart anyway. Yeah, it would stop. It would stop the a majority of the migration for the most part. But as far as stopping these people from coming over here, it'll never stop that.
Fair enough. All right, Joe, I got to move it on. Certainly thank you for your service.
And
Two different branches. Wow, you've been up in the air and you've been below
yeah,
in the
yes, sir,
submarine.
I have. I have.
Sub-
It's been
the submarine life, I'm quite interested in. Next time I have you on, I may have some questions about that because
okay.
I
Sounds
watch a
great.
lot of videos and things like that.
Sounds good, bud. Thank you for having me up.
Absolutely.
You
It's
have a good day.
definitely a pleasure. You too. All right. Comments. The question we're asking is, what is a patriot? It is Memorial Day weekend, so it fits in line. And of course, it's a slow news day, but we're asking a question. What is a patriot in your opinion? What are the duties that are expected of a patriotic citizen? Now, we know folks on the right versus folks on the left often use this word in conjunction with people that have the same political beliefs as them. I don't know if being a patriot has anything to do with politics, but nevertheless, you do hear this, particularly from folks on the right. But I want to hear from you folks. As always, the program is and shall forever remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests, but liberals are welcome as well. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 15,000 likes. Show your boy some love on this Memorial Day weekend. Helps out the algorithms, brings in more MAGA. As always, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. So understand when you come in the box, you don't have to agree with the host. Your opinion, your free speech. Yeehaw! Richard, thank you for the hat and mustache. Your free speech will always be defended here. All right, what the hell is a patriot? And if you do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any fear of being blocked, banned, or censored, follow the damn channel. It helps out the algorithms. All right, going back to the box. Andy, friend of the program. Andy, good afternoon. Happy Memorial Day weekend to you. What is a patriot, in your humble opinion?
Okay, like my family has served in the military since its inception. I
Mm,
served the auxiliary for the veterans. Service is just something we do in my house. But I
excellent.
also believe that you have civic responsibilities as well as your liberties. You need to vote. You need to be educated about what's going on in the government. You know, you need to get a jury duty. We have civic responsibilities, things we are supposed to do.
So, in
Um,
other words, what you're saying is you have duties of being a patriotic American that has nothing to do with wearing the uniform. There are other additional duties outside of that.
Yes, we have the civic responsibility to go vote, to to serve jury duty. There are a host of things that this country expects of us as good citizens, to be educated voters. The reason we have the Electoral College is because they didn't think we were educated enough to make that decision. To go
What
read from
about
our
the possibility that we were educated enough and they thought we might not make the decision they wanted us to make?
Well, you got to remember, it was the 1700s. There were groups of people
Yeah.
all over the country. It was scattered. They had one house schoolrooms. It wasn't what the educational, so the Electoral College was to make sure that it was so. And see, people want to convolate now how things look today to back then. They don't translate well.
Well, hell no, because I don't fit in that picture. I agree with you
Me
100%.
either.
Neither do you, right? We don't fit in that picture. So it definitely, in fact, I do. If I'm correct, the founding fathers, the way they designed it, you had to be white, male, and own property before
Yes.
you could vote. Yeah.
And
So,
it makes
yeah,
sure it says
nobody fit.
male after every sentence, too.
You said what?
It says male in every sentence too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we none of us fit in that. It's amazing that we still use
You know,
the
they talk about
documents that they
2A.
created.
Look at what a weapon looked like during 2A when they first wrote it. It was a musket and a ball and some black powder.
Yeah.
Our forefathers could have never imagined this country in the condition it's in now. I can tell
Mm.
you what I don't think a patriot is. I think that if you don't like the laws in this country, you write a bill, you send it through Congress, you get it passed. You work towards change. You do not attack the Capitol with flags sharpened at the end and make the entire world look at us like we've lost our mind. We've lost credibility across the globe. It is so disheartening.
So you kind of sound like you're in line with one, at least my first caller, maybe even the second one, that being MAGA kind of disqualifies you from being a patriot. Do you see any? I mean, I'm trying to find out where you're at on that, but it sounds
Well,
because my first
Republicans
caller
to me
said,
can still be patriots, but if you attack the Capitol, no, you're not.
"What if
And
you are in? What if you are in support of those who attack the Capitol?"
I'm sorry, no.
Mm. What about President Trump, who has openly stated that he would consider pardoning most of those folks?
I find that to be a disgrace to the service my family has served to this country throughout the years. I found it a disgrace when he pardoned the military guys, and the military begged him not to because it undermined military justice. When he
Wow.
didn't go to the World War One and Two memorials when every other world leader made it because he didn't want to mess up his hair.
Mm. So I have to ask you, playing devil's advocate, when the anthem is playing, if someone takes a knee, do you see that as not being patriotic?
No, because I don't think this country serves everyone and they have the right to protest the way they choose. But protesting and attacking something are two totally different things.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a provision for taking a knee.
Wait, say that again.
There is a provision in the Constitution for
Yeah,
taking a knee.
yeah. So, but and you definitely don't see it as unpatriotic because some folks would suggest that
No,
when these
because
athletes,
it falls directly in line with the way it tells us to handle things.
yeah. So why do you believe so many people who claim to be patriots view taking a knee as unpatriotic?
Racism. Let's just be
Oh,
honest.
mm, yeah. But there are people of all
There are
races.
white guys who have done stuff similar and they don't say nothing. When it was Colin Kaepernick, though, oh my God. I live in the South. I hear what they say. You can say whatever you want to. I hear what comes out of their mouth.
In what
And that
part of the
woman who
South
keeps saying, I'm not a patriot, my family has served this country since its inception. One of my direct descendants fought with George Washington. So you can say what you
wow.
want to about me.
Now that
I was
definitely.
raised in service. My
Yeah.
family has served every single generation, and even I went to register to serve. But in the
So in
80s, they
other
really
words,
want women.
so yeah. So in other words, patriotism has nothing to do with party. Then I mean, because like I stated
No,
before,
it doesn't.
folks on the right use the term patriot quite a bit. In fact, I think that the folks on January 6th were indeed called patriots by somebody. I believe Trump. I think Trump even
Well,
called them patriots.
considering Trump dodged the draft 5 times with bone spurs and then can play golf every weekend and nothing ever bothers him, I don't want to hear him talk about patriotism.
Mm. So you
He
don't
had
see
the
the.
chance to serve this country and it has the audacity to play fortunate son at his rallies when he is one.
Oh. So just flat out, with Trump being the commander in chief, you don't see President Trump himself as a patriot.
No, but I do see Republicans as one, just not the
Okay.
ones that want to attack the, Capitol and throw a fit when, and see, like a lot of things they complain about is capitalism. It's not even the government. If Facebook censors what you say, it's because you signed a user agreement with them. You made a contract with a private company that you would agree to play by their rules. When you don't, it's not, oh, it's my First Amendment. No, it's not.
What about the notion? Because I seen it in the comments. Somebody pointed out Biden didn't serve. Obviously, President Obama did not serve. I don't think Bill Clinton served either. Can you be a patriotic
At
commander in
least
chief
Biden's
with?
son served.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't see Don Jr. putting on a uniform and going to serve our country. I just don't. And
No,
Eric,
not
he definitely, the Eric would need to be up front because he's cannon fodder. Because I swear, the boy ain't got a thought in his head.
okay. So
But
you're
on
not
this
a.
particular weekend, when we're honoring our fallen, and I know how Trump feels about him because he didn't bother to go
Mhm.
and called them
Yeah.
suckers and losers, and I started a fight with the Gold Star family. The VFW commander asked Trump to apologize because he called the guys that had traumatic brain injury a headache
Yeah.
and minimized their injuries dramatically. He
But
quit telling us the count of the bodies that were coming in from Syria uh, on a daily basis and changed when they came in so it wouldn't look like we lost so many. I mean,
what about the
that is
what about the
actively.
notion? What about the notion that there are a lot of military folks in this country that support Trump? If he's not a patriot, why does he get so much support from the military?
He doesn't. Have you seen the latest military poll? They don't favor Trump.
What's
I
the
mean,
numbers?
62, I think, percent don't favor Trump.
Okay, that's yeah,
And I
that
think that
would.
has a lot to do with what I think when the military does not generally ask you if you want to take a shot. It's generally get yourself in that room, take that shot, anthrax, whatever, for wherever you're going, and there's no pushback. When they push back against the vaccine, I think they let them out because it was a good opportunity to let those out they didn't trust.
But what
Because
about law?
if they were willing,
What about
they would,
law enforcement? Law enforcement is also serving the country, very similar to the military. The police are kind of, kind of the similar aspect. And in fact, a lot of police are former military. He has a hell of a lot of support with the police department. How does that work?
yeah, I don't know. Considering he sent his supporters up there to take out a few, that makes no sense to me. And see, cops are just people
Yeah.
too. Because I have cops in my family, and people go, well, all cop. No, I got 3 Chicago cops in my family that all got dishonorably discharged from the police department because they were not good cops. I have 2 cops in my family here that are excellent cops and do their job. So
I
cops are
don't know,
just
but
people.
I do believe though that the right side of the aisle has more support with police because we are on the left. We often challenge the police, particularly the bad ones. We hold them accountable, whereas folks on the right are far more forgiving of cops who are
Well, are
corrupt. You
you
know what
still
I'm
sure
saying?
they
That
support them with the cuts to the wanting to do away with the look? Because federal officers are just cops, and
yeah,
they want to do away with the ATF. Who is that serving? That's just going to let firearms just flood our country, getting rid of the ATF. They are not serving a purpose by dismantling them. They are just making it worse.
yeah.
I cannot
Well, at the
support
end
that.
of the day, if you have a regular street criminal that does something wrong and decides to flee the area, you're going to need federal police if you want to bring them to justice. So,
Right.
dismantling the federal police doesn't make a lot of sense
They're
because
mad
they
at the
often work hand
FBI
in hand.
because of Trump. But they don't think about the fact that the FBI is who chases down every missing child in this country.
Yeah. There's definitely a need for a federal police in this country. Like I said, if otherwise you could just do like Jesse James did back in the day, commit a crime over here and go somewhere else without the federal police, it would be very difficult to track people down who cross state lines. So
And,
yeah,
and,
there's a
and,
need for federal police.
and my biggest problem right now with the Republicans is you cannot demand respect from people when you're not willing to give any. If Jim Jordan wants people to show up for his committee, then he needs to show up when he's subpoenaed. He is sitting there with a subpoena that is over 300 days old that he refused to show up for. So all his whining he's doing, nobody wants to hear it. He's a
Hmm.
hypocrite.
It's amazing they don't try to do more to enforce that. But Andy, I gotta move on.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming here. Absolutely a pleasure. Always is good. All right. And happy Memorial Day. All right. It's all Trump's fault, says SPL. I don't think anything is all one person's fault. Black Cake, I think that says thank you for the heart. Thank you for your generosity this Memorial Day weekend. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 25,000 likes. I think we can make that happen if we have a few less lazy thumbs in the forum. As always, the program is and shall forever remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. In fact, let me get someone from the right. I've had a lot of left-wing guests today. It's unusual to have so many, but liberals are welcome on the program. We're going to go to the box real quick in the comments. And as always, if you like civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any fear of being blocked, banned, or censored, or even having to answer to some damn moderator, we do this in a civilized fashion. We don't even have moderators, and we make this work. So if you enjoy fairly uncensored commentary, and I have to put the moniker fairly because I can't control the damn TikTok gods, then you're in the right place and follow the program. Looking in the comments, Savannah says, did she say she was a Republican? No, I don't believe that is the case. Does Snowflake need a safe space? Lex Lofier, depends on what your definition of a snowflake is. If you happen to be on the far right and you're shopping at Target at the time they're selling Pride t-shirts, you probably need a safe space, and Walmart might be a better idea. Uncle Tom right here, Curl Zone, thanks for letting us know. Okay, how do I contact you? Go to the box. I'm a MAGA. That is Wade Thomas. Let's keep it moving. And I do appreciate you folks holding on. We're asking the question, what is a patriot?
How you doing,
What
sir?
what are the duties of a patriotic citizen? Wade Thomas, good afternoon.
Well, let me say this too. I appreciate your show because it seems like you're left, but you at least let everybody have their opinions and share them.
Absolutely.
That is something that TikTok is missing because people just, if they disagree with your opinion, you don't answer the question the way they want you to, they just kick you out the box. So I appreciate that.
That'll never,
100%.
that'll never happen here. So what do you think in terms of being a patriot? What does that mean to you?
Well, for me, I think that it's important that words that we use the definitions that are in a dictionary, right? Like, so
Okay.
I just looked it up, and what it basically said was a person that strongly supports their country. They have civic pride, and they're bold about the way that they represent.
Same
That's
definition
paraphrasing.
I got.
Say
Same
it again.
definition I got.
Did you say
My
so?
cup.
You said you want me to read it?
No. I said same definition I got.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay.
if you and I pretty much see this the same way, why do you think there's so many folks who would suggest that liberals are not patriots?
Well, okay. Good question. I think that modern liberals, right? They're not the same as liberals from the 90s. I think that modern conservatives actually sound like liberals from the 90s, in my opinion. Like when I listen to like if you watch an old what's that show, Politically Incorrect, I think that was the name of it, Bill Maher, right?
Yeah.
And you listen to people that were on the left, they sound like people on the right today. So when I watch the modern Democratic Party, the people that represent them, they have moved so far to the left that the Republicans have slowly just met them in the middle. And they represent like free speech. That was a big deal back in the day for Democrats, was freedom of speech. And the Republicans at that time, they were trying to stop people from having freedom of speech. A lot of censorship was a word that I heard a lot as a young man, as a young boy. Now, though, you have Democrats trying to silence people that don't agree with their opinions, and you have Republicans screaming free speech. I'm saying all that, I'm going around and bend to say that I think that modern leftists tend to be extremely far to the communist, like they sound like communists in my opinion. And
Give me some examples. Give me some examples of somebody on the far left sounding like a communist.
well, they use a lot of, so okay, all right. I'll try to make sure that I don't like go into these long tangents. But when I listen to modern Democrats, they tend to make everything about identity. Nothing is really about merit. Nothing is about what's actually happening. It's all rhetoric. For instance, you're not going to talk to any Republicans that will tell you that they think it's okay for a man to compete against women, or a person that was born a man to compete against women because they now identify as a woman, right?
Right.
But
But do
that
you
is
wait? Let me interrupt you and ask this question. Do you believe most liberals believe it's okay for a guy like me? I'm 6'6", 300 pounds. If I want to transition to a woman and
right.
play on a woman's team, do you believe most liberals think that would be okay?
I think that they will argue that it's okay. I don't think that they believe it's okay, but I think that when they get into these debates politically, that they will not be honest. They'll say what they were programmed to say by the communist regime that they
Yeah.
follow.
I'm going to tell you, being liberal myself, I don't think that's okay, and I know a lot of liberals that would disagree with that. I think that here's what I would tell you. I think that what we're doing from both sides of the aisle is playing to the extremes, and what I mean is this: if you are a right winger and you debate with left wingers, inevitably somebody's going to call you a racist because that's what liberals
Yes.
do. They throw around the racist word all the time. If you
Yes.
are a left winger and you debate with somebody on the right, inevitably somebody is going to call you a socialist or a communist because that's
Yes.
what they throw around willy-nilly. But
So
it is people playing to the extremes. Like, for instance, defund the police. Most liberals don't want to do that. And I don't think
that's
most
true.
liberals want to have a big ass guy like me on the football field running over women or dunking on chicks. I don't think most people believe that.
But I agree with you. But I believe that what I see though, all I can say is that the loudest voices are the extreme ones. Those are the ones that are.
Yeah.
I also think that when I look at somebody like my parents voting, right, they're in their 70s, right, and they
Hmm.
vote Democratic, right. One thing I notice about them is that the arguments that I'm having with people online about politics, they don't even know that these exist. They have no idea who I forget the guy's name, but the one that was competing at Penn State, the swimming guy. They have no idea that even happened because
Well, and I'm gonna tell you why they don't have any idea why that happens. Because that stuff, for the most part, is exceptionally rare, and the folks on the right are making a huge deal because they don't want it to become normal. I get that part, but in regards to how many transition males are playing for female teams in this country, I don't think there's one per state. That's how rare that is.
that's
So
on a
it's like,
professional level. On the team, but you see
I
this
mean,
happening.
period. I mean, collegiate, high school. I don't think there is one per state. That's how rare that is.
All right, I will say I don't know the numbers on that, but I have seen in New Hampshire there was a girl that was making a lot of noise because she had been competing for her entire life in the to get to this to be an elite athlete at the college level, and in the last 3 years of her high school experience, there was three boys that transitioned to girls, and they were dominating the field, and she missed out on the experience of being a dominant athlete because she knew every time she competed that these three I don't want to be disrespectful, but I have real serious feelings about it, but these three people had removed her from that responsibility. All I'm saying is, though, and this was my further point, because I apologize if I just go all over the place,
I
that
got you. I got you.
number one, and why I started calling them communist is, number one, the people that follow them don't even know what their actual agendas are in a lot of ways. And number two, and this is something that I experience a lot on TikTok, and why I'm going to follow you because I put a lot of value in what I've seen from you today, is
Thank you.
that no, you deserve it. One thing that I've seen consistently, and this happened to me recently, is that they will lie a lot. Like, for instance, I was in a debate well, I was telling them, like, yeah, I'm watching these videos of Target, and this was about like 3 weeks ago, and they actually had my the post that I made about it got taken down because when I went into the live, I started telling them, watch my post, you see what I'm talking about, and they, whoever this person was, they just had like a campaign to get my video taken down. And what the video was pointing out was that Target has a bathing suit for teens that is tuck friendly, and it basically is so that a teen can transition to tuck their genitalia,
I get
like, you
what
know what I'm
you're
saying,
saying.
like.
Let me say this. I'm going to give you a phrase that, being on the right side of the aisle, you should easily understand.
Mhm.
99% of transgender people are good. I'm giving you that phrase because we often point out all of the issues we have with police, and we're often told, well, 99% of
Right.
cops are good.
Well,
99% of transgender people are not doing what you're talking about. I
no,
get your
wait.
point. We
I'm not
don't want.
attacking transgender people. I'm not attacking transgender people. What I'm
Well,
pointing
you're
out
you're
is
not
this.
showing them love. You don't think you're showing
Well,
them love, do you?
well, listen to what I'm saying though. I'm not attacking transgender people at all. What I have an issue with is when I see my dad used to say, "Don't piss in my face and tell me it's rain." When I saw this bathing suit that was on sale at Target, I told these people, like, listen, this is a problem if you don't think that this is grooming, because
Why? Why
Well,
why
I'm gonna
why
explain
is
it to
that
you.
a problem?
I'm gonna
Let me
explain it
give
to
you an
you.
example. I don't
Go ahead.
like seeing shirts that say if you don't like America, I'll help you pack because I believe an American has a right to free speech. I even do it on my program. But that doesn't mean I go to the store and start threatening to beat up the people that are selling the shirts. If you don't
Yeah, but
like
I'm not threatening
outfits,
anybody.
well, but folks on the right are. That's why Target has moved those shirts and stuff to the back of the store. It's because they were actually hitting and beating the employees and threatening their
Well, I don't
safety.
think anybody should do that. Listen, I don't think you should be attacking anybody. But I do think that my issue is this, all right? Being a young kid and being a teenager is a very confusing time in your life. What I see happening currently in society, and this is what I was trying to tell these people in the conversation, was that they're giving these kids an option to do something that they say like maybe this is your problem, and you see statistically speaking that more and more children are coming out and saying I'm trans. But what we don't know as Americans is that Europe is much more further to the left than we are. And a lot of
Yeah.
things that we do in the United States, we kind of follow the trends of Europe. And what they found was because they've had transitioning clinics for a long time, that they found out in their studies was that number one, the transition clinics kind of push this on young people because it's a
Oh,
business.
let me interrupt. I'll let you continue, but let me ask you this:
Okay.
if you show children transgender on transgender individuals, you tell them about transgender life, as you mentioned, clothes that allow you to tuck genitalia and things like that. Do you
Hmm.
think that that puts children at risk of actually becoming curious and becoming transgender themselves?
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay, and
I'll tell you
let
why.
me tell you the reason why I asked that. And there's nothing wrong with you believing that. Let me ask you this: if I was to take a young child,
Hmm.
take them out to a middle of a field that was safe, put up a mannequin, put a watermelon on the top of that mannequin's head, take my child back and help guide him with a 9mm and teach him how to shoot that watermelon, does that promote him to murder people? Because that's what I'm imitating when I teach him to do that. Do you have any problem with teaching a young child how to shoot?
How to use a firearm?
Yes.
No, I don't. But I
And
do think,
that's the question I'm asking though,
well, but I
is
do think,
because
I mean,
oh
if you're
hey,
asking me,
hold on,
okay,
let me frame it for you and I'll let you respond.
okay,
The problem, what I'm trying to find out is you see transgender as potentially leading a child down the path to become an LGBT community member. But
right.
when you're teaching a child to use a firearm, which is essentially teaching them how to kill, certainly if it's a mannequin or a picture of something with a human face on it, you're teaching that kid at a range how to kill. You don't see where that might actually promote him to want to kill people, but you do
Well, I didn't
see
say that. You
teaching
didn't give me a chance to
transgender
answer
may
you.
promote
Wait,
trans.
wait.
I don't get that.
I didn't say that though. You didn't give me a chance to answer you. I didn't say that it
Sure,
doesn't.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so it's kind of a complicated like question you asked me with zero time to think about what my answer is. But so if you're asking me, do I think it's wrong to teach a child how to use a firearm? My answer is absolutely no. There's nothing wrong with that. I do think because
And there's no chance teaching him how to use a firearm may ultimately make him want to go out and kill someone.
well, I can tell you for a fact that if you give somebody a gun, if you I've carried firearms and you definitely in your brain you do think like I wish a motherfucker would. That happens to all men do that all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do agree. Now the thing is, you have to teach a person that it's wrong to hurt other people, though. Like I think that you can't just if you teach a kid like this is how you use a gun, and I don't give you any more information, I think that's dangerous, definitely. Because I can tell you from my own personal experience, when I first got my license to carry, I just kept for a long time. My thought process was, when it happens, I'm gonna be ready. Like, and you not saying that I want to hurt other people, but your
I
brain
get it.
is
I
is
felt the
okay.
same way. I understand.
Okay, right. So I think that when you're teaching kids about these alternative experiences, what I will liken that to is a person that watches adult movies, right? When you start off watching adult movies, the first thing you do is you just watch regular, and then you just watch, and then you need a little bit more motivation, so you watch more, and then you watch different kinds, and next thing you know, you're watching the most extreme versions of it because you need more and more and more input. That's the way the human brain
Wait
works.
a minute. Wait a minute. You're talking to a guy whose ringtone used to be the Pornhub jingle. I don't watch gay or trans. I
Well, I
watch a
didn't
lot
say
of
that. I
porn.
didn't say you
I
did,
enjoy watching porn, and
but I beg
I don't know about
I
that.
bet you watch all kind of like
No,
DP,
no, no.
511. That's normal to watch that kind of stuff, but it's
But wait a
extreme.
minute. Your statement was if you watch porn, eventually you're going to not migrate to start watching the extreme shit. I don't believe that. I don't
You
want to
don't think
see.
watching five dudes and one girl is extreme?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Well,
But
yeah, I think
certainly,
that.
wait a minute though. Certainly, when you start talking about DP scenes, or you start talking about bestiality, or you
Oh
start
God.
talking about transgender, I don't watch that stuff. Even when it comes up by mistake, I hit the X real quick. So I don't know if I buy that.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. But what I'm saying is, what I was going to say earlier when I was talking about the transition in clinics, what they found out was that most of the children that were coming to these clinics by age 18 to 20, they found out that they were homosexual. Not they were
Okay.
not trans. This was a very very common outcome. So my issue with the trans movement is number one. Well, my biggest issue is you should not be giving kids any kind of hormone changes should not occur because even though they will argue that these are reversible, a lot of it is not reversible changes. You can affect specifically boys if you stop their testosterone development at age 12. When they get to be 20, their bones, everything about them is going to be less than what they would have been as a man.
Is
But then if
there? I
they
still
find out,
have to ask though. I still have to ask. Is this really that big of a problem in society right now? Is this really like
well,
huge?
I don't know numbers, but I do know that this is something that I see people talking about every single day. So it's definitely in the zeitgeist of America. And I
Yeah,
think that
because it
children
is
are,
your side of the aisle that is making it sound like transgender are trying to take over the world. When you hear conversations about transgender, and this stuff you're talking is usually coming from the right side of the aisle. That's why I'm asking you, like, is this stuff
I don't know
really?
about that. I don't know about that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't know that that's the case. But what
I
I
have
do know
not heard
is,
anyone on the left talking about Target selling pride shirts and tuck in outfits.
well, yeah,
If
because they're getting what they want.
yeah, I don't
But
disagree with
but
that, but
but
I'm
here's the
saying
thing. Here's the
that
thing. What I was getting at before, when I mentioned that they were selling these tucking bathing suits, the people in the guests, it's like 1,000 people. They were all like, "No, that's not true." They instantly, without even checking to see if it was true, which it did end up being true, and that's why people started boycotting Target. Their argument was, "You're lying. You're making it up." And my problem with that is that they don't want to know what's true. They only want to live in their ideology, and that's
yeah.
again why I started comparing them to communists
Okay,
because it's
I do
very
got to move
common.
it on. I do got to move it on, but you're making for a great conversation. I want to ask you this before I let you go.
Yeah.
Let's say, for instance, I'm Muslim and I
Mhm.
have a Muslim child, and I'm sending my child to school and things like that, and that child is being exposed to the Bible and things like that. Is it wrong because if my kid starts seeing more Christianity, it may make my kid want to become a Christian? Is it wrong to expose him to Christianity? You got folks out there trying to put the Ten Commandments in schools. Because I'm going by what you're saying. If you expose them to the LGBT lifestyle, it
Right.
may make them want to become an LGBT member. If my Muslim child is exposed to Christianity, it may make them want to become a Christian. So
That's true.
should we ban and block Christianity from being promoted on children?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I just think the difference is between banning the religious conversation versus the trans conversation is that the teachers, in my opinion, a lot of them have agendas. If you look at the educators, they come from academia,
You
and if
don't
you
you don't think pastors have an agenda? They're
absolutely.
trying to they're trying to make you become saved. They
Absolutely, I
got
agree
an
with that.
agenda
But that's what
too.
my point is. What I was trying to get at though is that being religious versus be coming out as trans and somebody trying to give you puberty blockers, the effects on you are different. It's a different thing. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. That's why I said it's a complicated question, a lot of
People
nuance.
give their entire lives when they become saved. I would submit to you, even without the puberty blocker, religion can have just as strong of an effect on somebody's life as anything the transgender community could come up with.
You mean
I mean,
except
it's
if they tell you that you could get a double mastectomy or if they cut off your penis?
it doesn't have to do anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything on you physically. Religion can completely change your mind and make you act a totally different way.
Well,
I
that's what I'm
mean,
saying. So
so it can.
I didn't say that. So here's the thing. That's why I'm saying I'm non-committal. I don't know what happens. I don't know if it's right or wrong. Like I'm not a religious person, right? I believe that there's a creator, but I'm not a person that I don't like my sister. I was trying to get. I have my nephew's a great athlete. He's a young guy, and I was trying to get him into this Catholic school because the coach said he could get him a free scholarship. And the education system in Philadelphia is bad, in my opinion, public school. So I was telling my sister, like, yeah, you need to send them to this Catholic school. And she was like, I don't want my kid getting bombarded with this religious stuff because we're Muslim. And where I stand, I'm just like, I don't understand why you would want to sacrifice a better education that costs something like, I think it costs like 15 grand a
Hatred.
year.
Hatred. I'll tell you why. Hatred. Because let me just, before we part ways, I want you to just run
Mhm.
with this. Regardless of you being non-denominational or non-committal, as you stated, understand that most wars throughout history have been fought over religion. I've never
Yes.
seen a war fought because a dude wanted to change into a woman. So that's what
You're
I'm
about to
telling
see
you, is that
one.
religion can really change a person. I'll give you the last word, though.
Uh, Listen, my last word would be I appreciate this forum that you created where people can have open conversation. I hope you remember my name because I'm gonna jump in the box again. Like, because other than this is the only time I've had a conversation that flowed freely where we weren't like just devolving to cursing each other out. So I think that's great, and I think people should
Absolutely. Not
leave.
only will I remember your name, I'll try to give you a follow. Appreciate you
My
coming
man,
on.
thank you, and
Anytime.
tell
Come
these
on back
people,
anytime.
my
All
man,
right.
tell them to leave these kids alone. My man. All right.
All right. Looking in the comments, you mad because your sister doesn't want him going to a Catholic school. Looking in the comments, and good convo. I see that from JP Williams. Yeah, definitely a good convo to the point where Art Squad even gave the guest a win. Fair enough. Let me make something clear. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 35,000 likes. We try to deliver good content. This is the backup page, so if you enjoy this type of dialogue, not only would I encourage you to follow this page, but the main page is The Handsome Liberal, spelled correctly. The final L is not on this page. The Handsome Liberal spelled correctly. Monday through Friday, we are here. This is what we do. In regards to Art Squad, giving the guest a win. Awesome. I appreciate you enjoying what the guest had to say, but let me make something clear here. Your host, your humble correspondent, I never purport to be a know-it-all. I will concede points to folks all day, every day. That is one reason why I enjoy dialogue with folks from all walks of life. We go from left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon here. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone, and we will never, solemn promise, never talk down to a guest. Hell of a lot of guests come in here and educate the host and many folks in the audience. Nevertheless, we're going to challenge you on what you come here with. That's what we do. Going back to the comments. Why do you have that hat up there? Take it down. Why the hell would I take the hat down? Sole purpose of the hat is because I solemnly believe Republicans, conservatives, and definitely MAGA do not get a fair shake amongst the mainstream media outlets. So here in my tiny ass corner of social media, even though I lean left, is to let folks know that if you are MAGA, you will get your say on here. You will always have your First Amendment free speech rights protected as far as yours truly can do it. That's the purpose of the hat. Let folks know this is a friendly program for all, not just liberals. This is not an echo chamber. All right, going back to the box. There we go. We'll keep it moving with Angel. Good afternoon, Angel. Appreciate holding. You guys appreciate that. Tap the screen. We're up to 35,000 likes. Make the program happen.
Hey man, my
Angel,
sir, what's up, buddy?
not much at all. Good to have you back on. What is a patriot to you?
I was listening to some of it. I didn't get a chance to really hear too much. I just was getting a
Okay.
new phone
Well,
and stuff like that.
I'll work
I
with
mean,
you.
a
Go ahead.
patriot. I mean, I mean, I heard some other people saying that Trump didn't go and fight in a war, and he
Well,
bowed out, fighting a different
let's
side.
take
I
Trump
mean,
out. Let's wait. Hold on.
well, I just
Let's
I
take
just say
Trump out
that
of the.
like so. I think a patriot is somebody who represents our country in the right way. Somebody who's listen. We can go back and forth on who's a real patriot. You have your extremists that are like, if you don't bleed red, white, and blue, and you don't follow everything to the letter, I don't think they're true patriots. I think they're, you know, they're more about their own stuff. But if you can see other people's concepts, right, and still understand that America is America, it doesn't matter who comes here, right? Because the reality is, at some point, we were all immigrants. At some point, we were all immigrants, and we bonded together, right, to make this country what it is. You know, so
Well,
I
do you
mean,
do you really do you really think we quote unquote bonded together? I
well, I
mean,
mean, I think we did the best that we could,
yeah,
especially years ago. Now it's a little crazy. I mean, like I like coming on your live, man, because like when I listen to other people talk, as much as I get upset with certain things that are being said on both sides, man, that it's civil. I go on some other people's lives, man, and I think in my head like y'all the problem. Y'all are the problem with what goes on in this country, whether if I agree with you or not. You know, like the way we talk to people, the way it's. And listen, I'm not saying I'm perfect because sometimes I'm like, I'm cursing at the screen, listening to some of the people that come in here and talk about, talk about the left or talk about the right, and I'm just like, you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? But I
yeah.
mean, other
So
than
what?
other than that,
So in regards to duties, if what do you believe are the duties of a patriotic citizen? What should they? What type of characteristics, behaviors should they exhibit? What are the duties of a patriotic citizen?
I don't even I couldn't even answer that question, right? Because I'm like in all reality, I don't even what is a good patriot? Like I don't even know. I know what a good person is, right? I can tell you what a good person should be out there doing, right? Meaning that we're kind to each other. Listen, we all know that people are going to be nasty, right? But not every action needs my reaction. I don't know what that person is going through in life, especially if I've
Well,
never met them.
okay, so in it, let me present it to you this way. In the comments, for instance, Tommy T is saying one is to not overthrow. We're attempt to overthrow the business or of the government. So we're talking obviously about January 6th. The individuals who truly believe the election was stolen from Trump and was literally trying to stop Biden from becoming president because they thought it was a fraudulent accusation or acquisition of the commander in chief's position. Do you see the January 6th protesters as being patriot
Oh,
or unpatriotic?
so I'll go this route, right? You know what I find unpatriotic? The fact that I'll say Black Lives Matter, but there's more than that, right? Because they were tearing
Okay.
down statues. They were when people's the people of this country, when they lost businesses and they lost money, right, and they lost homes and cities were burnt down, right? We didn't talk about any of that stuff then, but now the Capitol, right? Stuff happened at the Capitol. It was wrong. I'm not saying it was right.
Was it patriotic?
Listen, I believe that our politicians who are in office now, left and right, every one of them, whether it was Romney, even Ted Cruz, you know what I'm saying? I like some of the stuff he talks about now, but before this, I thought he was, kind of full of himself. They all say, even Biden, even Obama, even freaking Bush, they all had
Wait,
the,
wait, wait, wait.
we,
I get your point that Washington is not performing up to par. But was what happened on January 6th patriotic, in your opinion?
I don't think it was. I don't think it was necessary to have this half ass, if you want to call it a revolution, resolution, or whatever, of going in there and doing what did they accomplish by doing that? Not a fucking thing.
Nothing,
They didn't
nothing.
accomplish anything. Nothing.
I'm going to
Like if
talk
you were
to
gonna go
you.
in there,
Go ahead.
if they were gonna go in there, right, and make some stuff happen, then it would have been a bigger force. Like we'd have been like, yo, enough of this government bullshit. It's not gonna be 100 people taking on the Capitol Police and whatever what military was there, right? It would have been full on. My dad was there at the Capitol, right? Now he wasn't down at the Capitol, but he was there at the rally, and there was a shit ton of people there. Like if it was going to be anything, it would be all those people going down to the Capitol stating that. You had a few
Well, what
bad
I wanna what
apples.
I wanna talk to you about is what you mentioned in Black Lives Matter and the statues, but that'll be the next topic. But before going into that, when you mentioned that January 6th was not right, How do you feel about President Trump stating that if he is reelected, he would pardon those folks that did what you're referring to as not right? Do you see President Trump, former commander in chief, as a patriot, offering to pardon these folks?
No. And I'll tell you why. The people that listen, I've seen two separate videos, right? And when I say two separate, I mean two different types of videos, not videos, right? One where police were letting people through the barricades, and one where people were breaking in the windows, right? I believe the people who they let through, who they let walk in, I don't think they should have been arrested. It was the people causing damage. We shouldn't have done that in the first place. What was the like I said, what was the point of that? What was the
Yeah.
point of going there to destroy something if you weren't going to completely try to take the whole thing over? Now, my problem with, I don't want to say the left, I'll even use Kamala Harris as a point. For her to throw 9/11 and January 6th in the same sentence is dead wrong.
Okay.
Is
I don't disagree
dead
with that.
wrong.
I don't disagree with that. I also think throwing January 6th and Black Lives Matter in the same sentence is wrong. But let's talk about the statues. You mentioned at first when it comes to being patriotic, you have an issue with folks taking down statues and things like that, which leads to the obvious question. Those statues are of men that tried to destroy the country and break it in half. Do you think it's patriotic for those statues to be up to begin with?
It's
Those
a
were
part.
literally people
I,
fighting
I
for some
understand.
statues.
I understand that, but that's a part of our history, though. So do we take it down and forget about it, and then we repeat the same cycle, or do we leave it up there and just leave it to be to where it's like, okay, we know what this is, and we can learn from that. You know what I'm saying? Because not all American history is good history, right? But it's history. It's a part of who we
Yeah,
are.
but you do understand the whole purpose of these folks for talking about these Confederate statues. What they were fighting for was to weaken and divide the nation. They were not fighting for anything patriotic. They were literally fighting to break the country up. How do they get a statue to begin with is shocking, but I'm just
That's
simply
true.
saying that maybe it might be more patriotic to take down the statue because of the nature of the person the statue represents.
And what? And hold it in a museum.
No, well, I don't know where you would put it, but to
But
me,
that's
it's
my but that's my point, though, right? Because we're to erase that history and then not learn from it.
why do you
If we
think
take
if
it down, if we
why
take
do you
it
think
down,
taking down? Let me ask you this: why do you think taking down a statue is erasing history?
that's why I asked, where do you put it then?
Well, the
Where would you?
statue. Let me say it this way. Well, you can put it in a museum if you really want to know about that. But what I'm trying to say is this: what happened in our history happened. You can't undo history. A statue is not a dictation of history. It is a tribute to history. If the statue is taken down, for instance, all of the statues in Iraq of Saddam Hussein, and there was a hell of a lot of them, were taken down. Many of them by us. That doesn't erase the history of Saddam Hussein. The history is there. You can't erase history. Germany does not have any statues of Hitler, even though that is one of the most well known world leaders in world history. You don't need a statue to preserve history. But in addition to that, I would also tell you this: all of those statues, Petites appreciate the hat and mustache, all of those statues have a plaque on the bottom of that statue. All of the information on those statues, Stonewall Jackson, General Lee, you name it, all of that, when you read those plaques, it's all positive stuff. The fact that they were fighting to secede and break the country up, how many Americans they killed, none of the negative stuff is on that plaque. So the point I'm trying to make is not only is the statue not history, what's on the plaque is not even completely accurate. It's missing most of what the person was actually doing.
That's true. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna argue. I'm not gonna argue that point. But that what I'm saying, just going down, tearing shit down, like for what though? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't mean like if they came to say, hey, we're gonna take it down or whatever, but going and just tearing stuff down, it's like anything else, right? Freedom of speech, right? Freedom to put up whatever it is that you want to put up, right? And then somebody comes and takes it down. That's like putting a big old Biden sign in your front yard, right? And somebody coming and tearing it down. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So like that's why I said, like, what do you do? Put it in.
Well,
I'm not saying the statues are right. What I'm saying is the way they handled it was wrong. Just like I said, do I believe that those people at the January 6th, they should be locked up because they went and did something wrong? They could have did things a lot better than that than going and breaking shit. Like what's the point? It wasn't going to accomplish anything.
well, in regards to the statues, though, I will tell you this. Not only is the information on the plaque basically inaccurate, at the very least incomplete, but also what we don't normally hear about is the fact that a lot of those statues were not put up to honor the individual. They were put up as a warning. And what I mean by that is you can look up the dates of when they erected a lot of those statues. You'll find that a lot of those statues were erected in the Jim Crow era, 100+ years after the Civil War ended. When Martin Luther King was going around the South to protest maybe union wages or sitting in the back of the bus or whatever the hell he was going around to protest, they would erect one of those statues in the middle of Times Square or Town Square to let the civil rights protesters coming in those towns know that bullshit you guys are preaching, that civil rights bullshit, will not be tolerated here. So when you would get to that town and get off the Greyhound bus, there would be this big ass statue there letting you know there's going to be some drama in this town if you come in with that civil rights bullshit. I would invite you and anyone listening to look up the dates of a lot of those statues when they were erected. Any statue that was erected during the Jim Crow era was not meant to honor the person on it. It was meant to be a message to protesters. But that's part of the history we don't often hear. So just would invite you to do that. Let you know all of those statues. Because we
I
don't put up statues in tribute to war heroes 100, 200 years after the war. We don't normally do that.
understand that. Like I
Yeah,
said, I understand that. But like I said, I don't condone any kind of destroying of any property. You know what I'm saying? That's somebody else's property, whether it's mine, it's yours, it's the government's, it's all wrong. But like I
right.
said, there's two different videos at January 6th, one showing
Yeah,
people being let in and one showing where people are destroying. So that's what I look at. The people destroying should definitely be locked up. Hands
yeah.
down. The people that were let in, why would you lock them up if they were let in? That's like somebody saying, hey, come into my house, I'm having this big old party or whatever, and then people start breaking in, and next thing you know, I'm getting locked up too. You know what I'm
Well, let me
saying? Like,
speaking of that, let me ask you this before I let you go, because this happened on January 6th. Ashley Babbitt, you think that was justifiable?
oh hell no. The shooting?
Yeah.
The shooting, no, because she didn't have a weapon on her at the time. Regardless of, and listen, if you look at that video, right, there was two cops going up behind her that had no clue why anybody was being shot. They came up and looked and actually assisted
But
her.
wait a minute. You're saying she didn't have a weapon on her. How would the guy
Well,
who shot her have known or not? I mean, you gotta
listen,
go ahead.
listen. I understand that. I understand that. But like I said, when you have two cops coming up behind, not knowing what's going on, when people were literally just let into that part of the Capitol, like, is it justified? I mean, he could have warned. He could have said stay there, and if she didn't, which I think she didn't, I think she kept kicking the window, and then
Yeah.
he shot her. I mean, like, you
Let
know what I'm
me
saying? Like,
let me
I
let me
don't
get your
I don't
take
see
on
the
it
whole
this way.
thing.
Let me get your take on it this way. I'll present it the way I saw it, and you let me know if I'm wrong or what your take on it is.
Okay.
There is a mob of people. There is a glass partition. Behind the glass partition is the guy who shot Ashley Babbitt with other interns cowering behind him. He is the only one that represents law enforcement and has a firearm. He has his gun trained on the window. There is the part of the window has been broken, and
Okay.
his gun is out. He's pointing his gun at the crowd, telling them to stay back. And Ashley Babbitt is trying to climb through the window and proceed forward while he has his gun aimed at her, yelling instructions. What should he do if she does not stop coming toward him?
Well, I'll tell you what I saw in the video, right? Because I understand she was the only one trying to come through the window at that time, right?
Okay,
He
okay.
could have pulled out his taser, tased her, right? That could have de-escalated it real quick. There was other things he could have did, to de-escalate that situation. Now, granted, he's the only one, but if there were 10, 20 people trying to climb through that window, then you fire their first shot and hope that everybody else falls
So,
in line.
so what you're suggesting is she comes through the window and he tases her, hoping the
Well,
prongs make contact and hoping the taser works.
no, because
But
she wasn't through the window when he shot her. She was shot and fell on the other side of the window.
yeah, you don't
She
let the
wasn't through the
person.
window.
Yeah,
She
you
wasn't
don't
through the
let them
window. He could
actually.
have tased her through the window. He could have tased her through the window. He could have even shot a warning shot, right, to see if they would stand down. If he shot off a warning shot and they didn't, then guess what? Then that's different.
Well, you're starting to sound like Joe Biden. You know, law enforcement doesn't fire warning shots, right?
I understand that. I
Okay,
understand
they
that.
don't fire. They don't fire
I
warning
I
shots.
I, I understand that, but and the reality is there was only one person trying to come through that window, not a mob of them. When the police got up to that top of that staircase, they had room to try to assist her and had room to move. Right? It was a small staircase. It wasn't like it was this huge staircase, right? And those people were in the staircase, and when they came up through, they had plenty of room to move up that way. There
Do
was
you
different. Listen,
believe? Do you believe in any way Ashley Babbitt's lack of compliance led to her demise?
of course,
Okay, then we can
because
agree on that.
she's a fool trying to break in. Like I said, I'm not condoning it or whatever. Did she get shot? Yes. Is it her fault? Yes. Could the officer handle that maybe a little differently? Of course, we can Monday quarterback this thing all day. We weren't there. We don't know. We weren't there. We don't know what's going through that
Would you
Capitol
have,
Police's mind at the
if
time.
you were the officer superior, would you have disciplined that officer in any way?
Right over here. Would I what?
If you were that officer superior, would you have disciplined him in any way?
No, there would be no discipline.
All
Where
right,
would I discipline
all
him
right.
for?
Then,
You
then in
know,
other words, you're saying it's justified then.
it's justified.
All right, that's
It's justified. He could have
what
handled it a
you're
different
trying to
way,
get.
but
All right, Angel. I gotta move it on.
it's
Excellent
justified. I gotta
conversation.
go. I got some stuff to do.
Not a problem. Not a
All right.
problem. By the way, folks, screen, thought you guys would have your boy around 50,000 likes by now. Some lazy ass thumbs in this audience here. We try to deliver decent content. All we ask is that you tap the screen occasionally, show your boy some love. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body. As you see, we do prefer MAGA as our guest. We do talk to liberals as well. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. I think we properly demonstrate that on every live show. Nevertheless, we get some lazy ass thumbs in here sometimes. Boo hoo. Anyhow, let me go back to the comments. Let me just say something real quick. We'll start out with RTLLC. I cannot tell you how many times when we try to have a fair program, even though I lean left, I don't make no qualms about that. I try to maintain a fair, unbiased program. I cannot tell you how many times I get called an Uncle Tom and Uncle Ruckus or a sellout on the program. We do have RT LLC in the comments right now saying that. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary, but most of the time, it's people that look just like me. I don't know why the notion of an African American willing to talk to every damn body and let people speak is somehow meaning there's some type of Uncle Tom, Uncle Ruckus, or sellout. But I get it on every show. I think I've seen it about a dozen times in today's live stream alone. About a dozen times. I don't know why. You get it on every show. Obviously, if you listen to the opinions of the host, none of that shit makes any sense. But folks will see the screen, see the hat, and just start talking. I don't know why. Let me go back to the box. Stop your way. I may have just screwed something up here. There we go. All right. You have great contact. Thank you, Sir Nation, Takesha Blue. Afternoon. I appreciate you holding to keep the one and only.
What's
What do
going
you think?
on?
What is
What's
the
going
Patriot?
on?
Happy Memorial Day weekend. We're asking the question, what is a patriot to you? Annie and Andy. Thank you.
A patriot is a person who wants the same rights for everybody in the United States. Who
Where they
support,
at?
huh?
Where them people at?
But see, that's what I'm trying to tell you. The word patriot has become just a word.
Mm.
If you live in the United States and you want people that you don't agree with or that you don't support to be rightless and for them to have no kind of freedom, you're not a patriot.
Well, give me an example of of a group of people in this country that people do not want to have rights or freedoms at all.
They don't want the LGBT people, Q people to have anything. Let me tell you about me. Do I support the lifestyle? No. Do I think they should be discriminated against? No. Do I think they should be mistreated? No. They're still human beings and they still should have some rights.
Mm.
You
And
don't have to
what
you don't
makes you
have to
believe?
agree. You don't have to agree with them in order to have compassion and empathy for them.
So, what makes you believe they don't want them to have any rights at all? What are they doing to make you believe that?
Listen, the thing that I'm gonna say about this is this. Just like the guy that was, I think, 2 people before the last one,
Hmm.
I know he's a right-leaning person because I could tell. The first thing they start talking about, and that's most of them, is the trans community. You ask him about what a patriot is, and he starts talking about the trans community. That be their first conversation. You can never have a conversation with them without them bringing up Target, the beer people, stuff like that. And it's just ridiculous. They don't want. It's like they just really want the people not to exist.
But
But
they're suggesting that it's not any type of oppression of the LGBT community. They just want to protect the children.
let me tell you something. I grew up with people that were homosexuals and stuff like that. I didn't become one.
Yeah, so did I.
You need to teach your children about these things. Whether you teach them is right or wrong, that's up to you. But you need to teach them because they're not going anywhere, and they're gonna have to live amongst them. And you teach them that just because they're different doesn't mean that you mistreat them.
Well,
But
but
they're
in
but
regards
they're
to
not they're
people,
not. Your child ain't gonna think because they out here making swimsuits like the man said that make you tuck, that your child gonna say, "Ooh, give me the tucky." What kind of swimsuit you want? I want the tucky. Ain't
well,
nobody doing that.
maybe they might take the turkey suit and put a carrot in it and play around with it at the pool and fling it around. Listen now in the comments, Loopy Luke says in regards to the transgender community, they have more rights than straight people.
How?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't
Who
fucking
who
know. But
who
people
talking
believe
about
that.
who talking about straight people? Who murdering straight people for being straight?
Yeah.
Who
It's
discriminating on straight people for being straight? Who telling straight people they can't go read a book for being straight?
yeah,
So
well,
stop that. And
amps.
let me address one more thing that I saw in the comments. I saw a person say, "What did God say about transgender? What did God say about lying? What did
Mm,
God say about hate? What did God say about stealing? What did God say about mistreating your brother, not feeding the poor? We sin, everybody sins. Stop bringing up that one sin when you want to bring in religion, because God said a lot of stuff we ain't supposed to do that we do every day. We ain't supposed to have sex out of wedlock, but a lot of people humping and romping. They ain't worried
hell
about what
yeah.
God said when they get in that nut.
God didn't get that one right because I.
Well, yes, he did. Sex was made for a husband and his wife. We just, with these fleshly bodies, just took it to a whole nother level. Cause
Well,
I was on Pornhub last night myself. But I'm just saying, I'm
well,
just saying. You,
I
you, you know,
think.
listen. You know, sin is sin, but some sin is good, and that's why
Yeah,
we mess up. Nah.
yeah, yeah, I don't disagree with that, but I do believe the sex is not made until you're married thing was not made for the type of civilization we currently have. When that law was put in place, the world for men was a totally different world than it is
Because we
now.
listen, listen, because we are spirit and we are flesh. And that flesh take over that spirit a whole lot.
Yeah, but you couldn't get ripped off
We
in
supposed to be
family
fight.
court.
We supposed to be fighting the flesh, and we done took the gloves off and laid down like the flesh, like the flesh to beat us up.
I gotta blame God for that. If you wanted us to wait till we got married
You
to
leave
have
you leave
sex,
the Lord alone. You leave him alone.
I gotta say, look, if
If
you
we
don't
did
want us
if
to
we
do
did it
something,
listen, if we did it the way he said it, it'll be just fine. We just disobedient beings. Now you leave the
well,
Lord alone.
no, I'll give you a perfect example. In my humble opinion, I believe men and women, people are meant to have sex, and they're meant to have it a lot. And I'll tell you why. There are three areas of life where we stop people from having sex, and the results are horrendous. Those three areas would be prison, when you're incarcerated, you can't have sex with the opposite sex. The military, because you're often on long deployments and getting sex is difficult. And then, of course, places like the Catholic Church where they take a vow of celibacy and things like that. And
But
if
let
you
me
notice, in all three areas, when you deprive humans from having sex, the results are disastrous.
let
Either
me
they
let me
start having sex with the people around them,
let me
kids,
say this.
or something else.
Listen, listen. If we did sex the way God said to do it, if we weren't married, we wouldn't even know the good feeling of sex. You don't know what you missing until you get it to miss
No,
it.
that ain't always the
Listen
case.
to me.
You know?
Listen to me. When I was a virgin, I didn't know how good sex was. So I wasn't missing it because I didn't know nothing about it. It was only until I let the man pop the cherry that I realized this is something I got to keep on doing. That's all. See, sex was meant. Sex is a good thing. God made it good, but He made it for a husband and a wife. But we, with these sinful natures, we just went on in that thing and took it for what we wanted it to be.
I
I
don't know.
understand. Believe me, like I said, I was on the Pornhub last night, and it was jumping like a heartbeat just sitting there watching it. So I understand. Believe me, I don't. I understand, baby. I was about to call my ex and say you next, but I went on to calm down. But I'm just saying, So I understand. I really do.
You sound like you're feeding in the middle of this conversation.
Man,
But
I'm about to turn it on now.
I tell you, when I hear that do, that startup tune,
Man,
listen,
listen. What you
go
say?
ahead.
Let me
Let me
tell
let
you
me ask
something.
you that, because now in regards to the conversation where folks are suggesting if you see LGBT stuff, it makes you want to become LGBT. Do
That's
you
not true.
see? No, I don't believe it either. But what about the idea or the fact that porn is readily available to American citizens like never before? Do you see any problem where having unfettered access to porn? I mean, even on your damn phone, you can get right off the conversation with me right now and go see, a cream pie. It's that easy. You
I'm
didn't
going
used to
on now.
have that ability. Do
I'm
you
going
think
on
that
now.
caused any problems?
Let me tell you something. When I was young, I had porn on videotapes. Porn has been out. A lot
Not
of
like it
people,
is now.
listen, a lot of people act like they weren't watching porn. They watch porn. They pushing sex because they know people like to have sex. So people now, they going on porn, they getting ideas, they getting rhythms and moves for their partner, because I had learned a few last night that I'm going to use when I call my ex. But I'm just saying. So, they pushing sex. So, of course, it's going to be more porn out there because people are sexual in nature now. And a lot of people like to have sex with a lot of people. So they like, well, let me get into the porn industry. So
Yeah.
that's why it's so readily now, because so many folks be like, well, if I could sleep with about 5 men in one day, let me go get in this porn industry. So it's more videos now because more people are getting into more sexual stuff. People ain't trying to just have sex with one person. They want multiple partners, because you got one that'll treat you like a buffet over here, and give you all this eatation. And then you got one over here,
Whoa, what was that? What was that word?
eatation.
Eatation? What is that?
when
What
they
is
eat you like a nation. So you, so cause I got one friend, he don't do that. So I don't do nothing with him. Cause see, you got to give folks an appetizer before you give them the meal. So you got different people that do different stuff. So you need a variety. And that's what's going on.
girl? This ain't the sizzler. I gotta go. Appreciate you coming on. You are wild. You
Yes,
are.
I am. Yes, I am.
I see that. Hey, let me go back to wherever the hell we were before we learned a new word. Word of the day: eatation. I have never heard of that. Eatation. When you are eaten like a nation. That's a lot of eating. That's a lot of eating. All right, let me look in the comments. Damn, eatation. Going straight back to the box because I am completely lost after that last conversation. Mojado. Good afternoon. All fun and games until you had a doctor's appointment. Yeah. All right, Mojado. Good afternoon.
I love that woman. She is right up my alley. She's a freaky leaky, just like me. Why are they talking on porno? Why do these writers stuff? You know what? Let me tell you something. You know what it is? They don't know what their sexuality is. That's why they're worried about it. They're coming off of our porn, man. Porn is off the chain. That's our lively. Like,
Do
I've
you
been on
see
Pornhub and everything. Mm-hmm.
you know do you see where it could become problematic with porn is all
Hell no. No, porn is the bomb. What the hell?
so
Shit.
let me ask you this in regards to protecting the children. Do you believe exposing children to LGBT lifestyles or even educating them on what transgender is? Do you see where that could literally lead a child to wanting to indulge in that community?
No. Nobody did that to my fat ass. And I was bisexual. I love poor nanny and dangalang. And nobody did that to me. And
Oh my
I
God.
love it. What the hell?
Okay.
I mean,
So
let's be real. My kids got exposed to LGBTQ and they straight as hell. I got
yeah.
grandbabies. So what the hell, what? You know what they're afraid of? You know what they're afraid of? That they're afraid that their kid's going to have an open spirit and they can do whatever they want. That's what they're afraid of. You
So
know,
what you're
they want to
basically
lock
saying
him
they're
down. That
afraid.
they want to lock him down and teach
Yeah.
him the Holy Bible, and they ain't gonna do nothing. But those are the kids that are gonna wind up pregnant at 16. Wind up
Wow.
and don't know who their baby daddy is. You feel what I'm saying? Those are the
Yeah.
same kids. 'Cause my kids didn't come up pregnant at no 16, and they got exposed to everything. You feel what I'm saying? I exposed
So
them to
basically,
everything.
you saying it's a Christianity play towards
It is because
basically.
they think they think they oh my God, they Bible thumpers. They believe in the Bible. They're the last, but they're the ones that they be sinning the most though. You feel what I'm saying? They're the ones that be cheating and lying and doing the things with their kids and stuff.
Mm. So
Yep.
let me rein it back in because we're getting wild as hell. What is a patriot to you? We're talking on Memorial Day. What is somebody saying that? Somebody's talking about
What
a
a
patriot.
patriot is the ones that we fight for the people's rights. We're the patriots, the ones that are out there fighting, saying that everyone deserves equal rights, not the ones that are going against us. They don't want equal rights for nobody. They want the WY man on top of everybody. They ain't patriots at all. You know what I'm talking about.
I think I get where you're going, but I'm gonna have you elaborate on who is fighting against freedoms for other Americans. Who do you see? Like, because I had a caller on earlier that suggested that being MAGA disqualifies you from being patriot. Do you see
That's
any?
true.
How
That's
like
true.
how so?
They're going against everything the United States stands for. They want to be like a Russian. They want to be like they want to be like controlling. United States ain't about controlling. We are about having freedoms. And if you're not about the LGBTQ community, then don't go. Don't go to the Pride Fest. Oh my God, they see a rainbow on a t-shirt. Oh my God, they're trying to turn everybody into gay. How the
Well,
hell you turn people to gay?
in regards to being, in regards to protecting freedom, What if someone says, I am trying to protect the freedom of the unborn? I don't want anybody to kill children, so I want to protect the
Well,
freedoms of the unborn.
why don't they put the pew pews down and protect the kids that are living now? They don't want to do that, do they? That's not patriotism. They rather have they rather have little graves than having their pew pews. Go figure, right?
So
Yep.
what you're
They're
talking,
picking
you're
their
talking
pew
about,
pews over our kids. That's not patriotism. But they're worried
yeah,
about the unborn. They're worried about our uteruses, though, right? Go figure.
yeah.
They just want to control. They want to control people. They don't want this one. They don't want women to start talking and we know what our body is. They don't want to do that. Oh hell, they don't even want us to have sex. God forbid. They want to take our
Whoa, whoa,
porn
whoa,
out.
whoa, whoa. What would make you think or feel that folks on the right do not want women to have sex?
Well, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. They don't like us at all. They want the WY women to have it because they sweeping down the WY is going bye bye. You feel what I'm saying? They're thinking that you know what I'm saying, right?
So you're talking replacement theory.
Yeah, yeah. They
Yeah.
think they're getting replaced. I don't know where, but they're thinking they're getting replaced.
All right, fair enough. All right, Mojado, I gotta move it on.
But
You
I
know it's
got you.
always
But I still like my little raccoon, your little raccoon ass. I'll catch you later, though. You know I'm
all
playing with
right.
you, though.
I know,
Have a
I
good
know,
one.
I know. Come on back anytime. Get in the comments. Bunch of dummies in here says United we can. Wow. Well, come on in the box and educate us, United. That's what it's all about. Nobody's free speech rights are ever, I can't even get the word out. The last conversation. But we don't block or ban anybody's free speech rights. So if you think the host is not getting it right, the host will bring you on and let you state that without any fear of your conversation being limited, censored, or banned in any kind of way. I make that solemn promise. I am not a know-it-all. I never purport to be a know-it-all. So I enjoy talking to the folks. You guys educate me a lot. Sometimes we get a lot of straight comedy here as well. So I'm being enlightened. Looking in the comments. I disagree with the house most of the time that he is fair and equal person. Appreciate the host. Oh, you disagree with the host most of the time that he is fair and equal person. Josh, appreciate the comment. Trump is the Antichrist. Wow, I don't know about that one. Florida Dad 82 says liberals are all racist. I would love to hear you elaborate on that because of the simple fact of the diversity amongst liberals. So if the liberals are racist, orating your point, who are they racist towards? Because the Liberal Party consists of a large portion of every group there is. LGBT, black, white, Hispanic, Muslim, Asian, they're all in this group. So who are they being racist towards? I would love to know that. Going back to the box, host is the best for real. David, flattery will get you everywhere. Thank you for that comment. Liberals are bad, though. Who gave me that? Fancy Prancy. Thank you for the generosity. Some of you folks are showing some love on this. Wow. Rich and Rich One as well, showing some love on this Memorial Day weekend. I do appreciate that. Real quick before we go back to the next caller, understand this is the backup page. So not only do I implore you to follow this page if you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any fear of being blocked, banned, or censored, but the main page is the Handsome Liberal. We'll be there Monday, or Tuesday rather, and it's spelled correctly, the Handsome Liberal with the final L. This page is missing that last L, so this is the backup. And we normally have about twice as many people in there. I have friends on both sides of the political spectrum. They are good people. Shout out to good people on both sides. Encouraging people to act on their hidden desires is bad for the family unit. What is your definition of hidden desires? Because you can have a hell of a lot of desires that are not sexual. That kid in Idaho that took out 4 people, clearly he had some hidden desires. Let's keep it moving. We'll go with Texas born. Can't argue with someone from the Lone Star State. Texas born. I do appreciate you holding on down there in the Lone Star State. What is a patriot?
Well, brother, a patriot is a person who have the ability to Um, to want rights for everyone. To me, as as growing up as within the military family myself, it's
Well,
I
here's the problem. Here's right off the bat when you suggest that a patriot is somebody that wants rights for everybody else. If that is the case, considering how long this country existed without everybody having equal rights, would it be safe to say that America was never founded on patriotism?
well, yeah, I can see where you can get that point from
I'm
because
getting it from you.
we
I'm getting it from your definition.
yeah, and you are, and I'm talking about within this time. I'm not really trying to bring up pretty much the past because we all had especially us folks, we had a rough patch in our past, and
Well, let me
we
rephrase
wasn't
it then.
considered a part of the Patriot, the
Yeah, let me.
Patriot.
I just want to laugh real quick, not at you, but in the comments. Somebody used the phrase "Uncle Tom ism." That's a new word. All right, so
Oh
let me
my
ask
God, that's crazy. But I'm sorry for that, man.
not completely an Uncle Tom, just Uncle Tom like, I guess. Uncle Tom is. Let me let me ask it to you this way, then.
Some of these
In
people are
regard to a
weird, brother. I don't know.
man, I'm in it. Never served, but yet every day I'm in the trenches. So, in regards to wanting equal rights for all, I mean, has there when did that exist in this country? Because if we are tying that to patriotism without trying to bring up the past, I mean, it has to be pointed out that we do have an extensive history. It's nowhere near 50% everybody had equal rights, 50% they didn't. It's way on one side compared to the other one. So I'm just trying to do you have an alternative definition for patriotism?
Well, you,
Like
well,
90% of US history.
I see what you're saying, brother.
Yeah.
And you correct on certain aspect, but that's going back to my original statement. Is basically wanting everyone to have a certain freedom, a certain rights in this country. At one point in time, I remember the Republicans used to want every rights for everybody.
What
I don't,
changed?
I don't know because I'm still conservative, and me going into certain parts and listening to certain people, I can hear a little hatred under the undertones what they be talking and stuff like that.
I
But
gotta ask for examples. Being a conservative yourself, I have to ask for examples. What are you hearing?
oh brother, I can't repeat none of the stuff I hear.
You can give me some synonyms. You can say it without saying it. I want to know.
Okay. I'm gonna give you one racist undertone. I remember I have a good brother, and he was saying that he have a little bias, a little racist, a part of him. He was thinking why the black people is doing this and doing that. Why? Ask me what you do. You think black folks is lazy? And I said, why you ask me that question? I'm here working with you, right? I Then I had to make him think about it. I said, look, bro, whatever you seen on social media out there, whatever is was you getting fed by, it's not true. In
Yeah.
every aspect in our field, in the work of life, of people working in the fields and stuff like that, in our industry, look at some of them people that's working, and then can you truly say that? Now I can say, yeah, it's a few people out there lazy, but that's not a unique thing against everyone.
Yeah. I had this. I
Everyone could
had
be
this
lazy.
come up. I had something like this come up yesterday, and I made the joke that after 400 years of forced labor, we not lazy. We on lunch break. Give us a few years. I mean, give us a few more years. I mean, we've been working for 400 years. Give us a couple. We're just on break right now.
Well, yeah.
We come back. We come back. We on break right now.
Yeah, I can see that, but then the claim going to be they all on government assistance or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff that people could say about people and don't realize when you point the finger at that person, you point two fingers back at yourself
Mm.
because
But
because
let me ask you that in regards to that particular overtone about us being, where do you think that like what makes people think that African Americans are lazy?
it's something that they heard probably within a family unit or something they seen on TV or something like that, and they've been indignant, encapsulated in this bubble of this certain aspect of what their family have said or what they seen on the or what their friends have was talking about, to have their mind to be warped that way.
Yeah.
In reality, it's not that way. It's
Yeah.
that they need to get out
Well,
their own bubbles and at they eating at they tables with their friends and just look around.
yeah.
Who's at your table with you? Because you gonna have some people who see I'm a type of friend, I'm not gonna agree with everything you say. You know, I'm a challenge you on things that you tell me. And
Nothing
if
wrong
it's
with
right,
that.
it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And I wish I could have more people like that can be
Hmm.
able to be good friends, to be truthful friends to them, because your real friend is a friend who's gonna tell you what you don't really want to hear.
Right. Well, in the comments when I asked you that, what leads them to suggest that we're lazy? I got a couple comments. Well, somebody said racism, when I think you and I would agree. Another person said the media, but one individual, Lord Carnage, said statistics. In other words, the statistics back up the notion that we are a lazy people. I have not heard of these statistics. I would love to see where they're coming from. At first, I've ever like, do they take stats on who are the hardest working Americans versus the lazy folks? I've never heard of that.
I would tell that individual, if you never grew up in a black neighborhood, you really can't say that, because a
Yeah.
lot of people, I know grew up work hard, and I grew up in the '70s and '80s. They work hard for their money, kept the yard pristine, and the house looking immaculate. It would know. I never known a lazy person as growing up, and I've been
Yeah,
black all my
I would
life.
also add, not only I echo your sentiment about working hard, because when I was young, I grew up in the '70s and '80s. Black people didn't really have a lot of white collar jobs, so they got the jobs that required you to work the hardest,
I
servant
mean the
jobs, all of
the
the
gutter butt
physical
job.
labor. Yeah, it was all the physical labor shit. So it's like it doesn't resonate. I mean, because you didn't have black folks like now. You can get a job sitting on your ass all day, but
Oh
when
yeah,
when in
yeah,
the '70s,
yeah.
and '80s, they were out having to do physical labor jobs.
I
So yeah, I
mean,
don't know where that came from.
me either. Because I think these statistics sometimes be biased, and they wanted to be biased and not to show us in a good light. And as I grew up in the educated household, because my grandmother was a school teacher, my grandpa was a school teacher, and also he was a minister. I got Rancher Butler, who on the side of me got his own ranch. I got the Mr. Carson down the street, who owned his own trucking company. I got the principal. I got the state representative who stay down the street. I got the entrepreneur, two entrepreneurs who stay in front of our houses. Who own their own businesses. So I'm trying to figure out what in God's name. And like I said, this is within '70s and '80s and '90s. So I don't know
Right.
where these people are getting these statistics from. These statistics sometimes is biased to get people to look down at us in a certain point of view.
Yeah,
But
it,
when it,
it definitely has an effect. Well, somebody in the comments made an interesting point. JJ said calling all black people lazy is like calling all white people racist. I think that resonates. I think that's a really good point. All
and
right,
that's true.
Texas. All right, fair enough. I got to move it on, but I appreciate you coming in here, man. Good
Oh, and
conversation.
anytime, brother, man, I really appreciate your lives, and man, you bring some of the best of the best, or sometimes the worst of the worst. But we all need a voice, and my thing right now, I'm just gonna leave you with this last message:
Sure.
unity and love. Stop putting color in the way, because color was never such a thing that we were growing up as kids. And I want to
That.
think people think about the
Yep.
Care Bears. Think about the Care Bears when the Care Bears came out. or
Well, you
think
know,
about the
talking about the Care Bears are gonna make people think your ass is gay because they were the rainbow. They the rainbow. So
look.
be
None
cautious
of that,
about using the Care Bears in 2023. People are gonna be like, your ass is gay. But I do
brother.
get your point. Racism is
Brother,
taught, and we never.
I'm straight. I'm straight in the straight edge razor, and I like my stuff slitty, and I don't like nothing dangling. But at the same time, look,
You guys are wild today. Holy shit. Slutty and okay. All right. Nothing dangling. I get it. Nothing dangling. All
nothing
right.
that, they can keep that.
And I'm with you. I'm with you on it. All right. Got to move it on. All right. In the comments, folks, there are people that have to make others look bad to show they are powerful. Well said, Tammy. Well said. I do agree with that. And good afternoon to you, by the way. I was well behaved today. Andy, you were. You were one of the few. The proud, the well behaved. I think that's the new Army slogan. I didn't watch the Care Bears. No, but it was a rainbow. They would have the energy come out of their bellies and it would all be different colors and it would make a rainbow. And unfortunately, right now, with the mindset towards the LGBT community, rainbows are being targeted. I mean, it's crazy. Some of the stuff people are targeting with the LGBT community is interesting. What is it y'all says nothing dangling? Yeah, nothing dangling. I get it. Nothing dangling. I want to ask you folks this. I normally would do a poll, but I'm going to be getting back to work soon. But I wanted to ask you this. In regards to the LGBT community, someone identifies as the opposite sex. So you have a guy that is now a woman. Do you believe by law, when dating, they should be forced by law to tell the person they are dating that they used to be a member of the same sex as the person they are dating? Because we know that sometimes an unsavory ending can happen when a person finds out that they actually just made love to a man. You know how it works. In the comments, a few folks are saying yes. Just me plus says 100%. But I see Ashley said absolutely not. So if you are a woman, let's say even post-op, so you now have the physical, biological parts of a woman. I mean, all intents and purposes, you look female. No duty at all to tell someone when you're dating that you used to be a man. Okay, fair enough. I'm torn on it. I definitely, personally, your humble correspondent, yours truly, I need to know that shit, but that's just me. And I will not hesitate to admit, even though it's wrong, being a guy of 50 years, grew up in the 70s and 80s, there's no denying that people that grew up in my era have some homophobia in them. You want to get past that. You want to make that a part of the past and not the current. But we were raised that way. We tossed around the F word, at things we call stuff gay right and left. And it was meant in an insulting way. So chances are most gentlemen from my era that are straight are not going to be very happy with someone who has transitioned and not notifying them that they have done so. Which is why I tend to be more on the side that it's in your best interest to let somebody know. I mean, there are some really alpha males out there that are just not going to tolerate you pulling the wool over their eyes. And I'm saying this because there's a lot of not only transgendered people, but just people who are gay, who actually favor being with a straight person. I used to know a woman, for instance, that was a lesbian, and that was her goal, is to turn people out. So there's a lot of gay people or people of the LGBT community, but they prefer people who are straight and narrow. They like that accomplishment. Just like us guys, we like the thrill of the catch, the thrill of the pursuit. You're gonna enjoy catching and converting somebody a lot more than somebody who just throws it at you. So we all like a pursuit to some degree. But in this case, wanting to flip a straight person without telling them that you're flipping them, it could come with some consequences. I just wanted to point it out. Nevertheless, in the comments real quick, somebody said, P Stone said, did she get you, Tim? No, I haven't had it happen. I've not, and if it happened, I might have not knew about it, but I'd also I would love to have somebody on the program, if it ever comes up, and ask them, can you feel the difference? I mean, it is now anatomically a woman, but there's pores and things like that that are missing. So I don't want to get too graphic, but even you can't just make a vagina. I mean, God knows if you could make a vagina, we would all be at the crib right now enjoying that shit. So you can't just make a vagina. I mean, some of the things that God did, we don't have a way to completely duplicate it. So I would want to know if there is a difference in feeling. I gotta assume there would be. I mean, unless you come to bed with a spray bottle or something like that, what the hell are you doing down there? So I don't see it, but I do believe that it would be in the best interest. There's 3D printers. A 3D. We're not making guns here. We're making a vagina. You can't make that on a 3D printer. Did you see the CNN reporter asked him what he would do if elected? I didn't quite get that. Anyhow, folks, it is what it is. This is indeed a lunch break live. I appreciate you folks following the program. This is what we do here Monday through Friday. If this is what you enjoy, civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, without any concern of being blocked, banned, or censored, follow the program. It helps out the algorithms. The program will always remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are always my preferred guests. Liberals are welcome as well. Could be anywhere you want to be on TikTok. Fact that you've been rolling with your boy for an hour or so is always an honor. But as always, I got to get back to work. Whoa! Whoa, I didn't mean to. Who just sent that galaxy? Evie. Evie1973 Texas. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. You have indeed made my weekend. Appreciate that. I'll be eating some ribs and thinking about that. Whoa, you guys are shit. Okay. All right. Rich one. Thank you. Thank you for that. You guys are, it's definitely always a pleasure. Not only talking to you guys, but shit like that certainly makes your boy day. So do appreciate that. Monday through Friday, if this is what you like, follow the program, Galaxy and that Coral. Thank you guys. Good shit. And we will be talking. Yeah! Shout out to Fancy Prancy. What is that? Memphis, Chicago, Detroit, and Oakland. I would let him know what is that all about. You guys enjoy your weekend too. I got to go. Holla.